Damn it. Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we're working on the shovel again. Went out and got some parts from old Josh Knoll. So that includes panhead horseshoe oil tank, which we are going to make work in here. So we gotta cut some tabs off in here. I already kind of stuck in there a little bit. So somebody's previously put on the mount, the fender mount. They extended it out with a plate here, and holding it up to the bike, I think it's going to work out well with what we have going on. But all OEM tank, so a little crusty, but we'll clean it up. It's got a couple dings in it, no big deal. The biggest thing is these fittings are shoved in, which again, not a big deal. So probably going to either put a rod into the fitting and pull it up, maybe put a little heat, but we'll see how it reacts. Or put an actual fitting once I get them. Thread it on here with a rod and then pry it up that way and bend them out. So, but we got to, first thing we gotta do is cut this off. This is very much in the way and I can't get the tank to sit down in there. So we'll get to that in a minute. So been making progress on the Sportster also. Remade the oil tank slash battery box. So this is it here. This is the top. It's all silicon bronze tigged inside. And then all I gotta do is finish this plate, and this is the top. So this guy here, when it's on the bike, get the crap out of the way. It'll sit like this up against the seat tube, the down tube. A little anti-gravity battery will fit in here. That mounts in here. And then this whole cover goes on like so. Of course it's going to fight me like that. And then that whole thing will be on the bike, chains over here. We have our return, or our feed and our return here. If you saw on the top, I have a line or a piece of pipe that runs up through the top so that we can actually return oil in here. So our our cap will be over here like so, and it'll fit down in there once I get it done. So still gotta make a couple pieces here to finish that up and then weld it in. So, but this will be pretty nice when we get it done. So the other tank wasn't really working. I didn't really, the way it was, I had designed, it wasn't going to work out. It wasn't wide enough to put the battery in there. And this allows us to take our anti-gravity or lithium ion and keep it out of here. So less chance of this thing catching fire. So we'll put this in here. It should get plenty of airflow. And then that gives us room up here to put our electronics. So I'm going to put the key through here. It'll come out the front and come out here. This is where our key will be at. So it'll be nice and hidden. So that should put the key somewhere in here. So nice and tidy. Keep everything really clean out of the way. And then if we need access to anything, the cover, we have 4 bolts on the outside. Take those 4 bolts off, the cover slides down, we have access to all of our stuff. There's 2 bolts that hold the battery in, so it just sits in here on this rest, and there's a bolt on each side. So take those bolts out comes the whole thing. The battery slides in through the bottom and gets held in. So that turned out pretty well. This thing's been fighting me hardcore, so kind of taking a break. Yeah, it's been a real pain in the butt, but it's almost done. All I gotta do is finish that top, and then finish everything. So as far as you know, taking off some sharp edges and doing final cutting and fitting, and then that will be done. Another thing we got from our old buddy Josh is this Mikuni. So we have a Mikuni 42 now on the Sporty. So I was kind of gonna originally was going to put it on the shovel, but the original plan was to run a Mikuni on the Sporty, because the carb that came with it was, it's actually a repop of the CV carb, so it's not even an authentic CV. So it was new, but it's a repop, and I don't really want to deal with issues. So the Mikuni will be really nice. We got to change some things, so we got to figure out where to put the choke and all the other stuff. But it did come with that air cleaner, and I actually really like the air cleaner. It fits, I think it fits pretty nice. So, and if we don't like it, we can always change it. So not a big deal. But anyway, so we'll get to the shovel and get to work. So work on getting that oil tank mounted today. Once the oil tank is mounted, then I'm going to build the seat pan. That way we can figure out how everything's going to fit. And then I got some little LED lights, and we're going to figure out where to put them on here. So get all this done. It all starts with the oil tank. So let's get to it. So we got those tabs cut off. There's one bolt hole that does line up. So, but as you can see, it's hitting here. So the tank's going to come up or back, probably honestly back, because we are pretty tight to the frame. So I'm going to bring it back some. Hopefully close this gap up a little bit. I'd like to use this if I can, but I don't want it to look weird. So because right now the tank fits the lines pretty well. So yeah, we'll see. But definitely a problem here. So we'll move that back a little bit. I don't think it needs to go back a lot, but also it needs to come up, which honestly would probably take care of our problem. So if we just raise the front up a bit, because you can see our seat tube there, it's not really. But the problem is we bring it up and our angle is going to be off. So probably just bring it back a little bit. But we need this tab, this bracket's going to come off, and we're going to make a new one. So we'll make it out of like 3/8 steel. That way I can drill and tap it, and then I don't have to worry about nuts or anything on the bottom and having to fuck with those. So we'll drill and tap that and hopefully put it in position, and everything will be good. So let's get to that. All right, so raise the front up. It's got a 3/8 inch plate between these two mounts. It took care of our clearance problem. It fits really nice. Probably need to bring the front down just a hair to make this fit better. But our gap looks nice. It's uniform, so we'll see. But this 3/8 inch plate up here, and then our chain throughway or whatever is lined up here, so that's good. So I think what we're going to do back here is just put some bungs here on our fender. I'll make some. That way we can bolt this to it, and everything should be secure. So don't really need to do a lot to actually get this to mount. So we'll make a front plates, and then I'll cut some bungs for the rear. I am going to have to redo that fender bracket on the back, because whoever put that on there, it is crooked. So anyway, whatever, we'll fix it, not a big deal. The actual mount could be bent too, so, but we'll get it fixed. Overall, I think this spot's going to work out pretty well. So it does kind of make up a distance between, you know, between our extended rear, which I'm not super happy that this thing is 3 inches longer, but it is what it is. So can't really do anything about it. At least not right now, unless we build a new one, which isn't going to happen. But I think this will work pretty well. So it also gives us room over here for our bungs, for our lines, so we can run them straight down and run them down through. That way we have plenty of clearance, and it shouldn't be too bad with our oil lines and clearance for the exhaust and whatnot. So should make our life just a little bit easier. So we'll get our plate built, and then that way we can get at least the front mounted and get the rest of it going. Yeah. All right, so we got our little mount here. It's going to go right in there. Fits pretty nice. That'll give us some new ears to put our tank on. So we got to take this one out, which I'm probably going to pull the transmission, take this out, grind it down, get everything all nice, and then we'll put that back in. But we'll mark it and stuff before we do all that. So other thing we're going to do, a little bit of change of plans. So that fender mount that they had on here, I cut that off. Somebody had it on there so we can use our original bolt holes. I still got to clean this weld up where they welded it on. That thing was a huge pain in the butt to get off. So got that off, but I have this piece of stainless here that just so happens to be the right width for this. So we're going to use this now as essentially a battery tray. And we're going to mount this up here like so. We'll drill our holes there. I'll trim this down to where it fits, and then this guy will fit underneath on the bottom, and everything should look really nice. But then that allows us to use this as a battery tray, and it allows us to bolt our tank on. So if we need to take our tank off for whatever reason, we can unbolt it, pull it off, and then our fender mount and stuff can stay on, because we're going to put a fender mount on the back of this to hold the back and to support our fender a little bit better. The fender's pretty secure the way it is, but this will support our tank. So next thing we got to do is cut this. We got to drill some holes in here, cut it to the shape we need, and then get it on the bike so that we can measure it for this back, and then I can bend our fender mount. Probably going to taper this off, and then we'll just do a little mount back here with probably 2 bungs, just so it has a lot of support. The battery we're going to run is very small, so we won't need all this. So we'll just make a little, probably do a little platform in here, raise it up. That way we can get to it, and then we can use, or turn it sideways, and we can use the other half for our electronics or whatever. So should have plenty of room. We're going to use the same battery I used in the last one. It was super small. It's like half the size of this, of what is here. So we'll get that going, and then we'll get it on the bike. So here we have it. We got our mount to go onto the seat post, and then we have our battery tray. It's all stainless. Hopefully it doesn't crack. And then fits all nice inside there. Everything looks nice and tidy. We'll build some, once I get the battery, I'll build brackets in here and a nut to hold the battery in. And then we'll have a electronics compartment. But let's put it in. Well, all right, so there we go there. I'll bend that back tab or the back plate of that up. It is at the same radius as our fender. And the front needs to go down a little bit, so once we cut that off, it all should fit pretty nice. Honestly, it's a little more back than I really wanted it to be, but yeah, whatever. At this point, whatever. Let's just get it done. Alright, time to pull the transmission out. Alright, so we got everything done here. We got our little tab welded on the end there. We got our bungs tack welded on here. We got our mount tacked on here. Now we just got to put it all back in. And these front mount, this one, the bolt specifically, is really close to the transmission. So can't take the tank out with the transmission in. So that's going to be fun. So pretty much anytime we got to take the oil tank out, we have to pull the transmission to do it. Yeah. Might fix that later, but for now, that's what we're doing. So let's put it in. And there we have it. Of course, not the hardware we're going to use, but I did have to use a button head under here. That's what we will use, mainly because they look nice. But the very front part of the transmission right here, it actually comes very close. But the transmission is almost all the way back on the plate, so we shouldn't have any problems. Shouldn't be any problems. Only thing I left to do is build some spacers here. We'll build some stainless spacers here and weld them onto here so that it matches what we got going on here. With the double spacer type deal, just so it looks the same. So we gotta do that, and then yeah. So there's our tank area. So that'll do it. So pretty center long. So that's gonna do it for the tank. Also, you notice the motor's not in, and this is why. Put our foot peg mounts on here. So got one on each side. I gotta build this next. So we need to get the motor back in so that I can check for clearance, and build it so that it'll lock in on this little tab here so it won't spin, and then we can bolt them down from the bottom. It will be the lowest point of the bike, which is not ideal, but at the same time I'm gonna run button head screws, or bolts, so it shouldn't be very obtrusive, and the bike is it's not very low, so we shouldn't have any problems. So next thing is going to be our seat pan. So we'll get on that, and then after that, fabrication's almost done. Really all we got left after the seat pan is our foot controls and our exhaust for major fabrication. We gotta finish our taillights also. So, and we got to build a front headlight, a headlight mount, but major fabrication is almost complete. And after that, we get to weld everything and finish weld it. So we'll get to that, but let's start making a seat pan. All right, so here's what we kind of going on. See our seat pan up here. You see where I took the top and just took my dirty ass ball peen and tapped it, and it shows me where the frame is. I need to extend this one a little bit because I didn't get it out as far as I wanted to. But we got a little hump here. That'll give me some pretty decent back support. That should be relatively good angle. Might do a little bit more upright just so it matches the sissy bar a little bit more, but it looks like it's pretty dang close. So but we're going to do like we talked about. We're going to do a sort of a Cobra style. We're going to do the driver up here. This will come up, little hump, just mainly to give it some style so it looks better. And then we'll run this back, and then this will be flat, and then probably going to put our bolt in here somewhere. So I'll kind of run the pan up, or put a little bracket, or I thought about putting a bung to go through the foam and the seat material, so then the bung just sticks out a little bit, but it'll be all padded back here, and then I can put a thumb screw that'll fit in this little notch. That way I can take it out. I want to be able to take this seat off without any tools, so that's the whole point behind that. So up front, I just have this little post that goes down to the seat post there. Little guys, just a little sleeve. So I have that on the front, so all we gotta do is take our thumb screw out of the back, and then the whole thing should pick up and pick off. So that's the plan anyway. And then I think we're gonna do a full sissy bar pad also. So this will come into here, and it'll kind of round here and stop. And then whenever we get our sissy bar, whenever we get our taillights in, we're going to put a pad in here, because the sissy bar is probably going to be like this wide. So we'll bring this out, run these straight, and then bring them back in, and then we're going to put a pad in here. That way she has a pad, some back support and whatnot, and then, you know, everything should be good. That'll also hide my taillights, the back side of them, and hide all the wiring and all that stuff. So I want to run a piece of conduit in the seat. So in the seat pan, we'll run it on the inside, that way I can run it down through. We'll put a little tube bend in it, run it down here, and then it'll dump into one here, and then we'll run we'll run our tube into here and down, and probably pop out the bottom here. That way it can run into our box here. So probably put either box this in with more sheet metal, or just put a brace in it, you know, internally, like here to here. So that way it'll keep its shape. Even if you sit on this, it should be pretty robust with this arch in it. So just need something to hold it together. So it's kind of where we're at. So you know, it's the width of the fender. Should be work pretty well on that. The biggest thing is the shape, so it does need to go over a bit, of course, but this is just paper. So but the other thing I did here is ran the seat all the way back to where it starts to bend and get straight. So this meets up there, and we can run our seat material in, and then they can run it all the way up here, this radius, and then it'll run all the way back into the rest of the fender. I think it'll fit really nice. So it'll fit the contours really well. Everything will kind of flow seamlessly. So just gotta cut it back here. That way we can transfer this over to our 16 gauge sheet metal, get it cut, and get it on. We are getting closer. So progress, right? Slowly but surely. So back on our seat pan, this is where we're at. So after a shit ton of work back here, I have it fitting really nice to this back part, to the fender. We have some good clearance, so we can get fabric under there and whatnot, and it should fit pretty tight. I think there's a 1/4 inch in between here. So once we put our material in there, should have a pretty nice fit. We still got to fill in these sides so that that'll all fit nice and flow well. And give a little more structure. We got a little internal brace here, and we have our seat post little deal here. So fits in there really nice. It locks in. It's got a little bit of movement just because of how it is on the fender, but for the most part, it is put on there. You're ready to go. So yeah, I gotta adjust the back a little bit, but yeah, once it sits down on the frame, it's pretty well centered. So that's where we're at. So should do it for this. Does have pretty nice back support, so I sat on it and it's pretty comfy, especially once we get our foam on there. We got a nice little hump here, so you know, for the lady, so she doesn't slide forward, and it should kind of cradle her a little bit. But we'll build up our foam here, and then we'll put some here, not quite as thick probably as back here, but you know, build that up, and then we're going to do our sissy bar deal when we get to that. So that's where we're at with this. So I picked up a bunch of foam today. I got some carpet padding that's like a 6-pound density, so it seems fairly firm. So I'm going to put a couple layers of that on the bottom just so it has like a really firm base. And that way, if we, you know, since it is a rigid hardtail, it'll give us an extra little added comfort at the bottom so we don't fully bottom out on the seat pan, because then it's really solid. So we might put a third layer, we'll see. The stuff's 3/8 of an inch thick, so we'll put 2 layers and see how we come out. And then I got some high density foam that we're gonna put on top of that, and then we're gonna have like a cush layer, like a lighter material on the very top to smooth everything out. I need to find a seat maker or an upholsterer, I guess, because we're building the seat. All I need them to do is upholster it. So yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. So moving along, I want to get the foam on, and then once we get that, we can start shaping and see what it looks like, and go from there on how the overall look of the bike is going to be. So getting closer, but still a lot of work left to do. Got our sides tacked on, so really starting to take shape here. I think it's going to work out pretty well. So got both sides tacked up. Just need to finish weld everything. Probably going to put another strap between here just to strengthen this. So it doesn't do that. So once I put it on, it'll sit, and then I don't have to worry about this flexing or anything, because there's not really any support here. It's just this 16 gauge. So I think we'll put another strap in between here, just to keep this from moving, because really this is pretty solid because it's all concave and whatnot, and it's got shape to it. So I'm not really worried about this going anywhere. Just need to put it between here, keep this from moving. So that way it can't be bent, which it shouldn't be, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe we'll slow it along. We'll see. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for now. So, but take the whole thing off. All one piece. Put it in the tube. Bam. On she goes. Move the side over. Done. So then we got left is to figure out how we're going to secure it. If we're going to put a thumb screw in the back to secure it. If we're going to do a little tab like I was talking about and put it in there. I also thought about going under here with this crossbar. Maybe putting a little tab coming down, and then putting like a thumb screw to come in there. That just way so it doesn't come off. But I don't know, a bunch of different ways. I do want to be able to take it off without tools, so that's the plan. Really, it doesn't really need, honestly, any bolts, because it's pretty well shaped. It fits on there really nice, and as long as somebody's sitting on it, it's not really going to go anywhere. And even if you're not sitting on it, it's really not going to go anywhere. So it's got the front bar, and then I contoured it around here so it fits really snug to the fender. So shouldn't really be any problems. So, but we'll see. So onward. So last thing we got to do is weld everything up on this, and then once we get our sissy bar done, we'll do our pad for that. But we got to do our taillights first because I want to put them in the middle. So we still need to do a little work to our sissy bar. Probably going to bend it back just a smidge more, just so it's a little more comfortable. I did sit on it, and it's kind of at a pretty steep angle, so might bend those bars back a little bit just to give a little more recliner feel, for kind of like we have down here on the driver. It is pretty comfy, so I've sat on it. It's pretty nice. So. But I think that's going to do it for this video. So we got our oil tank mounted. We got our seat pan essentially done. We got to foam it at some point and then see how that fits after we finish weld everything. But I think that's going to do it for now. So take care, everybody. We'll see you later.